AJ's successor up there then, from what it sounds like. Good luck on that, as AJ's done a pretty solid job at UAB from the 2 seasons I've seen of him. All right, so looks as if we're going to be able to get this one underway, at least broadcast on time. So the winner of this game plays at what time? Is this the game 9 tomorrow, I guess? Got it. So this is basically a loser's bracket semifinal then. Got it. Just looking at the wrong side of the bracket then. Very good. All right, I think we can fire it off. And a happy game day and a happy Friday afternoon from field number 1 at Veterans Park here in Alabaster, as we're about to put a bow on at least some ACCC softball here in Alabaster on a spectacular Friday afternoon. A winner's bracket semifinal game here on field number 1, as the winner will punch their ticket to the championship round of this week's Division I ACCC South District Softball Tournament. Wallace Hanceville, the top seed, takes on a familiar rival in the 3 seed, the Parsons of Snead State Community College up in Boaz, Alabama, as we are underway, a 4:23 first pitch time, as Snead State the visiting team. So we'll go through the first 3 in their batting order, as Jakia Hutchins will get the start in left field and lead off. Fly ball. Left side as the shortstop, Foster, makes the grab. 2 pitches and 1 down here in the first inning. James Hardy with you, as we appreciate you for joining us here on JockJive.com. ACCC Division II action underway as far as their final game on this spectacular Friday afternoon. Brittany Slayton to the plate. Trying to get a good start for her and for Snead State, as there's a strike call. At least as far as the weather today, unlike what we saw about, or at least approaching this time yesterday. A lot more muggy, and then ended up being at least some dicey weather at the very end of competition yesterday, as that pitch inside. So Brittany Slayton, even in the count now, 1-1. Pitch on the way. That's fouled off. So 1 ball and 2 strikes, as we'll take a look at the starting pitcher now. For Wallace Hanceville, the Lions, a powerhouse program as far as ACCC softball is concerned, that's produced, at least the last couple of years, a whole lot of NCAA Division I and some Division II talent from then head coach A.J. Doherty, as the pitch upstairs. So Wallace Hanceville, the 1 seed this year, a very solid season, but still in a lot of ways trying to find their footing after losing a lot of that talent from 2022, plus now UAB head coach A.J. Doherty. Boswell in the circle, foul ball, evens the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes, 1 down here in the top of the first inning. Lily Boswell, the start for Wallace Hanceville. We'll have the count now full at 3 balls and 2 strikes here in the very first at-bat, a winner's bracket semifinal game, as both of these teams will have more softball to go no matter what happens today. Pitch hit into right center field. That's going over and just outside the reach that time of the center fielder in Phillips. As going all the way to third base will be Slayton on a triple. A tough play that time, as Phillips almost able to come up with the highlight reel grab. As that puts Snead State in the position to get the first run on the board, as Brandy Phillips, an outstanding effort that time. Call that a triple on the full count pitch, as that brings up for Snead State. Their number 3 batter is a pop-up on the very first pitch of the at-bat for Riley Sharp, as she pops up to the third baseman in Briley Rouse for the second out of the inning. So Wallace Hanceville trying to get out of trouble here in the very first half inning of play. A couple of solid athletic programs going at it, as a pop-up not quite going to get to us and out of play. Kamari Darrington already got himself a souvenir foul ball yesterday. So I think we'll have to have a Herculean effort to get one, at least where we're located, just right behind field number 1. Let's put that second out on the board for you at home, as it's no balls and 2 strikes. So West trying to help her team get on the board first. Lydia West at home plate. Pitch. That's upstairs. For Wallace State Hanceville, also Lydia West will check out as far as her action in the circle in the next half inning. Hits that into right center field, so she helps herself as Snead State gets on the board here to begin the ball game. A big 2-out RBI double as into second base West, and that certainly is the way to help your team out, as West gives herself a run literally before she gets into her first half inning of work coming up. Still some more RBI production possibly coming up, as Snead State with the first run of this ball game, as that brings up Ella Grace Hood to the plate. Our first look at her, and we'll go through the rest of the Snead State batting order. In fact, Hutchins leads off, Slayton followed by Sharp, and then West, who's at second. Hood at the plate in the 5th spot. Campbell Adams bats 6th, and then Caden Radcliffe 7th. As a swing and a miss, as that evens the count now at 1 ball and 1 strike. So a big double from West. That's a huge 2-out RBI. Slater scored on that triple, on that check, that double. Both extra base hits as far as for Snead State here in the first inning. Still 1-1. So Hood, the designated player today. Radcliffe, along with Locks at the 7 and 8 spots, as there's a solid single into left field. As Hood able to at least pull that into straightaway left field to keep this inning alive, and now put runners at the corners with 2 down. So that brings up the 6th batter in the order, Campbell Adams, the starting battery mate behind home plate for Lydia West. So Hood, the designated player, batting in place of Lexi Brewer, the second baseman today. As runners at the corners on the third hit of this half inning. High pop-up, should do it. Second baseman in Wheeler puts it away to retire the side. However, one run on a couple of hits, and there were no errors with 2 left on base. We go through the first half inning play. To the bottom of the first we go here on JockJive.com as Snead State on the board first with Wallace Hanceville coming to bat.
And I'm so happy that he's gotten where he's
Snead State on the board first, thanks to a 2-out RBI double from Lydia West. And speaking of Lydia West, we see her right out in the circle as she gets the start as the starting pitcher for the Parsons of Snead State. As we go to the bottom of the first inning here on field number 1 at Veterans Park. Division I ACCC softball action. ACCC softball championship as Wallace Hanceville, a gold standard program here in the ACCC. I certainly remember them having Leah Kirby, that has been an outstanding pitcher for A.J. Doherty down on the south side of Birmingham the last couple of seasons. Felicity Frame, Maddie Cartron, among others, as far as that star-studded 2022 squad. But a lot of athletic tradition and excellence up in the southern part of Coleman County, around kind of where Blount, Jefferson, and Coleman County kind of meet, as far as in that I-65 area of North Alabama. Snead State also as far as one of those Sand Mountain area teams up in Marshall County and Boaz, Alabama. As Wallace Hanceville, our first time to see them offensively. As another Cartron, Caroline Cartron, leads off. As that pitch downstairs. Yeah, it was just a couple years ago when Wallace Hanceville just had their way as far as the competition here in Alabaster. Looking to do a lot of the same today, but they're down 1-0 as there's a strike to even the count. So Cartron followed by also Foster as well as Wheeler to begin things. West comes home. That's slapped out of play and foul. And then middle of the order, Briley Rouse, followed by Holly Hand and Taylor 4 through 6, and Brandy Phillips along with Tessa Word, and at the bottom of the order, Emily Hall for the Lions of Wallace Hanceville. Caroline Cartron taps that back to the circle as West an easy flip over to first base in time. One down for the Lions here in the bottom of the first inning. Wallace Hanceville, the top seed this week. Snead State, the 3 seed. This is a winner's bracket game, so the winner will punch their ticket, have one of those 2 spots in tomorrow's championship at 4 o'clock on field number 5. And then still losers bracket games to go tomorrow. At least one semifinal losers bracket game as the first pitch misfires, that time from West. Foster at the plate. Jaden Foster, number 9, as far as the Wallace Hanceville orders. There's a nice snag on the line drive as Foster robbed of a single that time by Radcliffe over at shortstop. Very nice play as Too bad we don't have a second look at that, because that certainly was a nice defensive effort that time by the Parsons shortstop, as Radcliffe able to get out number 2 on the board on that line drive to short. 2 up and 2 down. Laura Lee Wheeler at the plate. As Wheeler takes a strike call. We'll take a look at the Snead State defense while we got an opportunity. Hutchins in left, Slayton in center, and then Addie Walker in right field. Sharp at third, along with Radcliffe at shortstop that we just saw with that more than rock-solid defensive stop, as the count even now at 1 ball and 1 strike. Final game of the day here at field number 1. Championship Saturday tomorrow for Division I on Mother's Day weekend. A strike call in the inside corner. So West 1 strike away from a 1-2-3 inning. And Snead State as the 3 seed trying to force the top seed into the losers bracket semifinal tomorrow. 1-2. Breaking ball just outside. Could have gone either way that time, but we'll take the umpire's word for it. Just maybe a little bit outside. 2-2. That's a bouncer foul. So yeah, just remembering that 2022 squad. A lot of big names gone as far as the last couple of years. But still a Cartron as far as the Wallace Lions Cartron family legacy being kept alive, as there's a foul ball out of play. First 2 batters retired in the inning on a comebacker by Cartron, and then Foster, a sharp line drive to Radcliffe as the 2-2. That's taken downstairs. So Snead State already off to a rock-solid start as they were able to score the first run of the ball game. And that's something you have to do against a team, a consistent, tradition-laden team like Wallace Hanceville is, as the payoff is hit softly and just past the glove of Radcliffe into left field. After that last catch, you almost fully expect her to make that type of catch, but just not quite able to do so. Great effort nonetheless by Radcliffe on a 2-out, 2-strike single from Laura Lee Wheeler. Almost kind of unfair expectations that time, but it tells you the type of athleticism that Radcliffe has at short. Inning continues. Cleanup batter to the plate as Bailey Rouse gets ahead in the count, 1 ball and no strikes. 1 run on 2 hits so far for Snead State, as they're looking to maintain their lead here after, at least soon to be, after 1 inning of play. But Wallace Hanceville trying to keep this half inning alive, as now 2 balls and no strikes on Rouse. Outfield straight away all the way around. Off the end of the bat that time goes foul, so 2 balls and 1 strike. We'll take a further look as far as some outstanding performances this year for both Wallace Hanceville and Snead State. Familiar ACCC rivals as far as the northern part of Alabama. 2-1. Sliced into right. Hit pretty well as going back and not able to make the catch is the right fielder for Snead State and Walker, as Wallace Hanceville ties it up on the 2-out RBI triple from Bailey Rouse. That just kept drifting toward the wall in right field, as I don't think that Walker thought that it was going to drift as far as it did. And she just wasn't able to track it down. And so that ties up the ball game now at 1 apiece. So now the possible go-ahead run 60 feet away thanks to Rouse's 2-out triple, as Wheeler scores all the way from first base. And we'll have a coaching visit, and also looks to check that it'll be a training visit out to right field. Hopefully nothing too serious out there, as it appears that Addie Walker is perfectly fine. And certainly what all of us want for her as she remains in the game in right field. We'll get a further look as far as that Snead State defense here in just a second. So, 5th batter of the inning. Two batters have been able to reach base after the first 2 retired, as Wheeler got the single and then that Rouse triple. And so that sets up the number 5 batter in the order. Left fielder, as far as the Lions are concerned, and Haley Hollyhand, as she gets behind in the count. That gets to the backstop, and racing home, Rouse slides in to take the lead for Wallace Hanceville. Wild pitch, as that was a little bit high for Adams, the catcher. And so that's a big run on the part of Wallace Hanceville as they take their first lead of the day. 2 runs on a couple of hits, as now the base is cleared here in the bottom of the first. That's sliced in left, as going back in off the glove of Hutchins. Had misread that ball, as going around second and just into third base goes Hollyhand. Wait and see what our official scorer calls that. Tough play that time. Could go either way as far as a scoring play. I was kind of thinking that too. Probably a good read would have been a more routine play, but since she misread it, I think a triple is the fair call that time, and we will give that an RBI as well. Or check that, not an RBI, but another possible RBI opportunity coming up for the Lions, as Hollyhand at third. So 3 consecutive batters have reached us. We've gotten to the number 6 batter in the order. Jesse Taylor, a strike call. As that pitch taken to even the count at 1 ball and 1 strike. James Hardy with you, as we appreciate you for joining us here on this Friday afternoon. Pop-up, shallow right center, as fighting the sun as Walker makes the catch this time to retire the side. But a couple of 2-out runs for Wallace Hanceville on 3 consecutive hits with no errors and a runner left at third base. As we're through 1 inning of play here in Alabaster, winners bracket semifinal between Snead State and Wallace Hanceville, as the Lions lead 2-1. Lily Boswell returns to the circle, now on top, as Wallace Hanceville able to come through with a couple of clutch extra base hits that were able to get the Lions on the board with 2 in their half of the first inning. Snead State able to get a run on the board. Also, a 2-out extra base hit for them from Lydia West as we go to the second inning. And so it'll be the bottom third of the Parsons order. Radcliffe, Lax, and Walker. So Snead State about to get through the first time through their order. As 1 ball and 1 strike. So both teams able to come through with 2 outs. That's always a good sign as far as clutch teams and a lot of poised teams as well. As there's a pop-up. Should be an easy play in foul territory and is for the third baseman Rouse. 1 down. Time to take a little further look as far as the Wallace-Hanceville season this year. As they come in at 33-12, 19-5 in the ACCC this season. That's hit well on the first pitch and just over the glove of the Lions left fielder in Hollyhand, as she does a nice job of getting that ball back into the infield to only hold the second batter of this inning in Jada Lax to a single. A long single that time. And so the possible tying run now aboard on the third Snead State hit of the day. That's about as long a single as we're probably certainly going to see in this game. As Jada Lax aboard, Addie Walker at the bottom of the order, and takes upstairs for a ball. Lax, the first baseman today. We'll get a more in-depth look as far as the defense for the Lions here as a foul ball goes over to field number 2. As watch out over there as far as one of our other games going on, as it makes it 1 ball and 1 strike. Addie Walker at the bottom of the order. Also, we'll get a look as far as the Snead State 2024 season is concerned. So 2-1, a hitter's count. In the second inning, as on deck is the leadoff batter Hutchins. Is that skied, trying to stay in play and just against the fence and a little shaken up that time. And hopefully okay is the Lions catcher that time in Hall. Not exactly sure what happened as she was going up to the fence, kind of backed away that time, as the play not quite able to be made that time. But still a strike, though, so 2 balls and 2 strikes. So Boswell trying to come up with a K. Fly ball. As racing in, the center fielder Phillips makes the grab. Throw back to first base, not in time, 2 down. So the missed opportunity behind home plate, no worries, though, as the next pitch results in basically the same result, just a fly ball to center field. Back to the top of the order. Jakia Hutchins so far a pop-up to short. Also Brittany Slayton on deck as first pitch. Ball 1. 1 run on so far 4 hits officially in this ball game. There's a 1-hop grounder. Across the diamond goes Rouse as far as the final out in the inning on the 5-3 putout over to Taylor. Nothing doing for Snead State as we go to the bottom of the second inning. Still Wallace-Hanceville 2 and Snead State 1. beautiful Friday afternoon here in the southern part of the Birmingham metro area. That's a couple of familiar powers as far as ACCC athletics, Snead State and Wallace Hanceville going at it. As far as this winner's bracket semifinal, one of these two teams will earn their way into tomorrow's championship round. James Hardy with you, as we appreciate all of you for joining us here on JockJive. Division I and Division II tournament play here this week at Alabaster at Veterans Park. Bottom third of the Lions order, as leading off will be Brandy Phillips as she takes for ball one. Brandy Phillips at the plate. Taylor popped up to end their first at bat in the first inning. Couple of two-out runs, big two-out runs as it turns out, at least at this point. As the count now at 2 balls and no strikes. 2 runs, 3 hits, and no errors so far, with 1 left on base early on today. So in that last half inning for Snead State, no runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 1 that's left on base. There's a swing and a miss that time, makes it 2 balls and 1 strike. So 1 run on 4 hits with no errors and 3 left on base in the first 2 at-bats for Snead State, the designated visiting team. Foul ball right side, that goes out of play. So Phillips, the center fielder, followed by Ward, the DP, and then Hall, the catcher, at the bottom of the order. Good start to this ball game for both teams, as count 2 balls and 2 strikes. And that misses high to load the count full at 3-2. Certainly remembering A.J. Doherty's teams at Wallace Hanceville, they could certainly strike at any point in the lineup and could strike very quickly in bunches as far as run production. A lot as far as the expectations that certainly he helped build, as there's a looper into right and gets through for a base hit. In front of the second baseman or beyond the second baseman, check that, in Lexi Brewer, and then right in front of the right fielder, Walker, as well. So Brewer, the flex player, not in the top 9 of the batting order, as we go to the number 8 hitter in the order, as well as the second of the inning, Tessa Word at the plate. So what she does here is she'll wait and takes for a strike. See if we can get a look at her numbers. If not now, maybe at some point later on in today's ball game. There's the pitch high, throw down, and just able to keep that hand on the bag is Brandy Phillips for the stolen base. Evens the count, 1 ball and 1 strike. So now Wallace Hanceville with the runner in scoring position. Run scoring opportunity here in the second inning. Pitch on the way. That drops low. So 2 balls and 1 strike to Tessa Word. So Emily Hall on deck. As the wind and pitch hit foul by Word, is the count now even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Winners bracket play over in the Division II South District tournament underway. Number 3 MMI able to topple the number 2 seed earlier today as a foul ball out of play. SJR, the team that MMI beat, St. John's River, St. John's River State College, a 10-run advantage in 6 innings today for MMI. One of the best performances for any of the teams out here this week, especially in the Division II portion of the NJCAA District Tournament, as the count now at 3 balls and 2 strikes to Tessa Word. Wallace Hanceville would definitely like to get her on base to at least try and set up maybe a multi-run inning. That's downstairs, and so great at bat actually on the part of Word as she's aboard with a walk here in the second.
August 1st.
So 4 hits today for both teams, as likely you would think a sacrifice situation for Emily Hall. Take a look at the infield, which we didn't for Snead State in the first, as there's the bunt shown and popped up as that lands. Looks like not touched that time, so a break for Snead State. Actually a break in some ways for both teams. So kind of a trade-off as the bunt popped up as Hall. Lucky that wasn't caught, and then Snead State fortunate they did not touch it in fair territory. 1 step forward, 1 step back for both teams, depending on how you look at it. So we'll have time called. We'll take a look as far as Snead State's resume coming into today. 2 games above 500, but 4 games above 500 in the ACCC coming into at least tournament play. 28 and 26 overall this year. Prior to the ACCC tournament, they had been on a little bit of a skid, lost 2 of their last 3 as far as down the stretch of the regular season, and kind of up and down the last few weeks of April. Familiar rivals as far as the ACCC athletic scene, as there's a hack and a miss that time. No balls and 2 strikes. So it doesn't appear as if that we're going to see a bunting situation coming up. But we'll find out here in a moment as Emily Hall down 0-2. Lydia West trying to keep her team at least in striking distance. That's popped up. Good, and just off to our left and out of play. So no balls, 2 strikes. 4th pitch of this at bat. As Cartron on deck. Here comes the pitch. And that's taken, and did that hit her? No, as it's inside 1-2. Emily Hall almost grazed what would have been a big mistake by West to hit the number 9 batter in the order on an 0-2 count. At bat continues, however. Pitch soon to come. That's lined pretty hard, but foul. And that would be something as far as Word, or Hall rather, not able to lay down the bunt on 2 tries, but as far as getting a hit on an 0-2 count. Lydia West got the first 2 batters in order in the first inning, but just couldn't come up with the key pitch to finish off the first inning, as she allowed a couple of 2-out runs in her opening inning of work. That's grounded and knocked down over at third by Sharp, and not able to get the runner going to third, so everybody is safe. I imagine that's probably going to be an E5 on the play. And so that's the first error for either team, and that will load the bases. That's a tough break. Sharp could have had a double play that time, but just not able to cleanly field that ground ball, as we're going to have a coaching visit coming up for Snead State. Tracy Grindrod, the head softball coach, has also Caitlin Clark and Hannah Strength, the assistant coaches. Hannah Strength, that's a pretty good name for an assistant coach on Tracy Grindrod's coaching staff. I think it is Strength that's making the visit here for the Snead State Parsons. So you look at the regular season as far as Division I. Snead State 15-11 in conference play, as that was percentage points behind Coastal Alabama as far as second place was concerned, and then 5 games or so as far as the standings, 6th in the loss column behind Wallace Hanceville. Central Alabama Community College in Division II, 28-4 in conference play. And MMI second in conference play at 25-7, as that's punched left side and drops foul for Caroline Cartron. This becomes a big opportunity for Wallace Hanceville, not only to score, but build a nice cushion here early on. Wallace Hanceville, a tradition of excellence as far as ACCC softball up in north central Alabama. Bouncer should at least get one home, as there's the force out at second base, as Brewer able to tag the bag at second. Fielder's choice, RBI, increases the lead up to now 3-1 with one out here in the second. So Cartron with the RBI, she's at first base. And then Hall retired on the 4 unassisted putout. Phillips scores, and Word advances to third. Jaden Foster, a line out to short. Rod with a hit as she grounds one right to third, as she'll go to second for one. Will Sharp, and that'll be all. Nice play, actually nice maneuvering by Sharp to make sure that Word was not going anywhere. Could have turned a 5-4-3 double play, but Sharp making sure that nothing more as far as a runner going home came home to score, as that'll be a 5-4 fielder's choice. Foster aboard at first, and then Hall, or check that, Cartron retired on the 5-4 fielder's choice. 2 down. Runners still at the corners as Laura Lee Wheeler. A single and a run scored in the first inning. See if she can keep the Lions' offense on the field. Big 2-out opportunity for her. Huge batter also for Lydia West, as she able to get the lower portion of the strike zone and a strike call. A hit and an error in the inning so far. So any runs that score further in this inning unearned, as the pitch hit well into left field, but an atom ball as Hutchins able to make the catch on the line drive to retire the side. One more run for Wallace Hanceville on just one hit with an error and 2 left on base. We're through 2 full innings to play as we go to the top of the 3rd inning. Wallace Hanceville now up by a score of 3-1 here on JockJive. Wallace Hanceville leads 3-1 as we go to the top of the 3rd inning through 2 complete innings of play here at field number 1 at Veterans Park in Alabaster. James Hardy with you on JockJive.com. Final game of the day on field 1, and for both of these teams, their final game of this happy Friday afternoon as a line drive drops down into right center field. Second batter in the order. First batter in the inning, Brittany Slater wastes no time with a leadoff single here in the third inning. So that's Snead State's 5th hit today. As that brings up the second time today for the Parsons third baseman, Riley Sharp. Sharp today, a pop-up to third. Parsons still in contention, but Wallace Hanceville with a couple of big RBIs in the first inning is racing to second. Slater slides in with a stolen base. Strike on that first pitch, so no balls and one strike. As the Parsons now with a RBI opportunity with less than 2 outs. Lydia West, the pitcher, on deck. There's a foul ball slapped back toward us. No balls and 2 strikes. Familiar opponents as far as these two teams so far this year. And let's also, before we take a look at as far as the regular season matchups between these two teams, we'll take a look as far as the pitching totals this season for Boswell as that pitch gets to the backstop. So a wild pitch allows the advancement to third for Brittany Slater. So 1 ball, 2 strikes. Here comes the pitch on the way, and that's grounded foul past the first base bag. So keeps it at 1-2. Lily Boswell, her 21st appearance of the season. First start of the year, she has a 9-3 record and 3 saves on the year. 72 2/3 innings pitched, 67 hits, 28 runs, as there's a pop-up. Nice negotiation along the fencing that time by Taylor by the first base dugout for the out. Very well done that time, as that is a huge out for Boswell. 1 down. That keeps the runner over at third. As that brings up Lydia West, who already has an RBI double today. Looking further at Boswell's numbers, 67 hits, 28 runs, 21 earned, 22 walks, 55 strikeouts coming into today. Hit well into left as has a chance and gone. A 2-run round tripper ties up this ball game as Lydia West has all 3 of the RBIs for Snead State, as we are knotted up now at 3 apiece. A double and a 2-run homer on 2 pitches that she's seen offensively so far today. So it's Wallace Hanceville 3 and Lydia West 3 so far. As the base is cleared with 1 down. Ella Grace Hood, a single in the first inning, her last time up. Also looking at Boswell's ERA at 2.02 this season, so she's already given up 3 earned runs, so that's obviously more than she typically gives up as far as a per-game basis every 7 innings or so. Fouled off back our way. 1 ball and 1 strike. Back and forth go these two teams as Hood and Adams at the plate and on deck respectively. Boswell trying to shake off that big hit from Lydia West as she has had 2 clutch hits so far today. And it looks as if the Snead State is ready to play as a strike call. Tracy Grindrod's squad able to play basically step for step, swing for swing with the top seed so far. That's popped up and that goes out of play. 1-2 the count. Campbell Adams on deck. Ella Grace Hood, the freshman, 100 at-bats entering today, as that's lined right at the second baseman, as Wheeler just maybe a step up the step ladder that time for the out. 2 down. As that brings up Campbell Adams. Adams popped up to Wheeler her last time up. So Boswell looking to get out of this inning, just shake off this inning, regroup, and hope that the Lions able to answer the 2 runs in this inning as that pitch slips out of the hand of Boswell. So 1 ball and no strikes. We'll take a look at the bracket as far as what's still to come. Just at minimum a couple of games tomorrow, a loser's bracket semifinal, as well as the championship. Fly ball should be routine, and is for Cartron, as she's able to make the grab and retire the side. 2 runs, though, on a couple of hits, no errors, and nobody left on base for Snead State. Bottom of the third coming up, all knotted up at 3 apiece between Snead State and Wallace Hanceville. Two and a half innings of play, and these 2 teams are knotted up at 3 apiece, as Lydia West, an outstanding day offensively, already halfway to the cycle with a double and a homer in all 3 of the Parsons RBIs so far. Let's flip the lineup card over. Heart of the Wallace Lions order, as Rouse, Hollyhand, as well as Taylor due up here in the third, as that's right by the third baseman Sharp. As a good start for Rouse, as that ball late to get back in the infield. And it's not sure exactly what happened that time, so I think you might actually have a couple of errors on that play. So we'll call the initial Sharp ground ball a single. And then the relay throw back looks as if it missed the cutoff, so probably like an E7, I would imagine, on that play. So a lot of loose ends to take care of on that play. And for Wallace Hanceville, they're certainly more than happy to get the go-ahead run in scoring position. Pop-up coming in, and the center fielder Slayton makes the grab. So let's get the single down for Rouse. Also out number 1 on the board. And an E7, as there's the fly ball to center for Hollyhand, 1 down. Jessie Taylor has an RBI opportunity awaiting her. Well played ball game so far, as Taylor a fly out to right to end the first, her first time up. Swings first pitch. Wallace Hanceville coming up aggressive so far in this half inning, as they've swung at the first pitch in every one of their 3 at-bats so far. Rouse a Sharp ground ball single right on cue past Sharp. And then Hutchins just, for whatever reason, couldn't get a solid relay throw back into the infield. As there's a strike call. No balls and 2 strikes. Alabaster, Alabama, the ACCC state tournament and also district tournament. The Division I side of things, as there's the first out of the inning. Looked like a comebacker that time. Or check that yeah, that's right. The second out of the inning is Hollyhand flied out to center field. And so Taylor a comebacker that time. 2 down. We'll put that out number 2 on the board. There we go. Wallace Hanceville still in business as Brandy Phillips, a leadoff single in the second, and also later came around to score. Get a look at Phillips's season totals here. The freshman infielder, as she takes that time. Looks like for ball 1. Brandy Phillips looking to get her team on the board. 331 the team average for Wallace Hanceville. 51 out of 155 coming into today. That's a foul ball off to our right. That's a 329 average, 373s on base percentage. Rock solid numbers for Brandy Phillips this season. 4 homers, 26 RBIs, 45 runs scored. A job well done so far for her in looking to add to that and, importantly, put the Lions back on top. Almost comes in and hits her on the screwball that time. So hitters count for Phillips. Both teams have done very well as far as clutch situations offensively today. 2 two-out RBIs on extra base hits, back-to-back triples for Rouse and Hollyhand in the first. As that pitch downstairs, a fielder's choice RBI on a bases-loaded situation for Caroline Cartron. Then 2 RBI double for Lydia West for Snead State in their first at-bat, and then followed that up 2 innings later with a 2-run homer with 1 out to left. 3-1. That's hit well into center field as Slayton goes back and makes the over-the-shoulder catch. Nicely done that time as Snead State able to preserve the tie. No runs on a leadoff hit. 1 error and 1 left on base. We go to the 4th inning, almost to the halfway point, as we're still knotted up at 3. Three innings in the books so far for these two teams. A well-played ball game between the Snead State Parsons and the Wallace Hanceville Lions. Both teams with 3 runs on the board. Wallace Hanceville 3 runs, 4 hits, and no errors as they've left 4 on base. And then Snead State coming to the plate, 3 runs, 5 hits. And they do have a couple of errors, and they've left 3 on base. Kaden Ratcliffe leads off as she hits it hard and yanks that one foul. Ratcliffe fouled out to third on the first pitch she saw in the second inning. So Snead State, a couple of big-time hits from Lydia West. The big difference why they're in this ball game is that's also fouled a bit further to the left field line that time, though. No balls and 2 strikes. Radcliffe, also Lax and Walker to the plate. As Boswell trying to keep the tie going as the drop ball low. Might have slipped out of the hand that time as Radcliffe 1 ball and 2 strikes. Really our first time to observe the totals for Radcliffe this year. She grounds 1-on-1 hop to third. Solid throw from Rouse to Taylor, 1 down. Snead State, a .321 team average coming into today as there's 1 down. Brings up Jada Lax. Freshman, 47 out of 144, .326 batting average, .369 on base percentage. Solid numbers as she skies that one. Should be an easy play, and is for Phillips, 2 down. Not going to jinx this ball game as far as commentating and observing the pace of this ball game right now. We may refer to that when one of these two teams regains the lead, maybe in the 6th or the 7th inning. A while ago, told never to mention as far as the time of the ball game midway through, as there's a first pitch pop up. That goes out of play. Two teams playing well, though. Couple of errors defensively for Snead State. But really, they have not factored in so far as the score goes right now. Rise ball upstairs. Lydia West is playing one of her best all-around games so far of the season. When you hold Wallace Hanceville to just 3 runs and give your team an opportunity to win in a winner's bracket game, you're doing your job. Rise ball upstairs. And certainly you look at the Parsons, just 38 homers, but can put the ball in play with 316 runs scored and a .385 on base percentage as that's hit well down the line, and a diving try and the grab that time for Hollyhand to retire the side. 3 up, 3 down for Snead State, halfway home here in the winner's bracket semifinal. Top seed Wallace Hanceville 3, 3 seed Snead State 3. Snead State 3 and Wallace Hanceville 3, a winner's bracket semifinal matchup. Final game of the day as far as the ACCC Division I softball tournament to begin postseason play in NJCAA Division I. Wallace Hanceville, the top seed, against the 3 seed Snead State Parsons, as the Lions certainly having to fight their way through the first half of this ball game. As we go to the number 8 batter in the order. First in the inning, and Tessa Word. A walk her last time up and takes for ball 1. We have not taken a look as far as the season numbers so far. pitching-wise for Lydia West, as this is her 26th start of the year. 29 appearances, a 1.53 and 2/3 innings pitched, and a 3.74 ERA. As the count at 1 ball and 1 strike. Also, Emily Hall and Caroline Cartron due up. Swing and a miss that time. Looks like maybe a tailing curveball. As the count at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Pitch on the way. That's hit into right field. Has a chance, and it is gone. So Tessa Wirtz displays some opposite field power that time. The round tripper on a 1-2 count, as that is the biggest homer of the season for Word, as that gets the Lions back on top. I don't think we had that on the bingo card for today. As far as the number 8 batter, Tessa Word displaying opposite field power almost right down the right field line. Tells you the type of ball game it is, and I somehow don't think we're done with the scoring just yet. So that now clears the bases, as still nobody out for Emily Hall, the catcher. So Hall today reached on an E5 her last time up. Sophomore, 25 out of 122 coming into today. Just a 205 batting average. She swings and fouls it off. For Tessa Word, also normally a pitcher, that's her 8th home run of the season, so not bad for her so far, especially toward the bottom of the order, and 34 RBIs. That's taken upstairs. 1 ball and 1 strike. So we've already seen a couple of balls leave the yard so far. Lydia West with a home run earlier in almost a couple innings ago. Good position for the Lions now, as there's a pop-up. Over in right center field is Slayton, the center fielder, 1 down. So that sends up the leadoff batter and the 3rd batter in the inning, Caroline Cartron. 0 for 2. Ground out to the pitcher in the first, and then a 4 unassisted fielder's choice, but an RBI her last time up. Bottom of the order's gotten on 4 times today for the Wallace Hanceville Lions. As the pitch on the way. Bounce right back to the box. Almost a defensive snag that time. That was actually hit fairly hard that time, as Cartron bounces out to West for the 2nd time in 3 at-bats, 2 down. Wouldn't say quite a look what I found that time, but West as much just making sure she protected that upper body region and able to neatly snag that 1-hop comebacker. Jaden Foster 0 for 2. Top of the order has kind of struggled so far for Wallace Hanceville. No hits so far, as that's hit pretty well into center field. That has a chance, and that is gone. So Jaden Foster unloads on the first pitch she sees. A solo homer, 2nd in the inning for the Lions, as Foster increases the lead up to 5-3 now for Wallace Hanceville. Second homer for the Lions. And for Jaden Foster, the freshman, 5 round trippers, 31 RBIs on the year. Laura Lee Wheeler, a single and a run scored in the first, and then lined out sharply to left her last time up. So we've had a couple of ties and now 2 lead changes so far just past the halfway point of this 7-inning regulation game. Pitch down and away. So obviously when you're Wallace Hanceville and have built the type of tradition and reputation you have in the ACCC for Coach Lauren Stewart, then obviously you're going to have the target on your back, so you always have to have your A game at your disposal. As a hitter's count for Wheeler, ahead in the count 2-0. Wind and the pitch. And that will slide for ball 3. On deck is Bailey Rouse. Lauren Stewart leading the Lions to another outstanding season, as there's a 4-pitch walk for Wheeler with 2 outs. Wheeler, her first walk today. Second time aboard and 28 walks now on the season. Put her on as that brings up Bailey Rouse. What was then a tying RBI triple in the first. Also a single and advanced to second on an error in the third as she swings away and fouls it off. A lot of aggressive early swings so far, as it appears that the game plan is to attack Lydia West early in the counts. We've seen both teams with abilities to strike at any point in their at-bats so far today. Pitch. Breaking ball, a strike call. May have been a changeup also, as it's no balls and 2 strikes to Bailey Rouse. So 3 of the 4 runs that have scored for Wallace Hanceville have come with 2 outs, as the 2-out hitting has been there for the Lions so far today. Also, 1 RBI double with 2 outs in the first for Snead State, as that screwball misses inside. Good ball game today between a couple of well-coached teams. Snead State's been hanging around throughout this one, but Wallace Hanceville has been able to come up with a pair of home runs in this inning. Curveball just outside. Tessa Word went the opposite way on a 1-2 pitch to begin this inning, and then Jaden Foster, very first pitch, ready to go, sends that to straightaway center field for a round tripper. Two-two. Swing and a miss at the drop ball. No contact made as the tag applied by Adams to retire the side. However, 2 runs on 2 hits, no errors, and a runner left on base. As we go to the top of the 5th inning, 4 innings in the books. Your score, Wallace Hanceville 5 and Snead State 3. The winner is Shelton, and then what's that? Southern Union, I think. 4 complete innings behind us so far, as we're almost to the stretch run for these two teams in the winner's bracket semis, as there's a hard foul ball down the left field line for Jakia Hutchins. Hutchins has swung away at the first pitch. She's seen every at-bat so far now. Pop up to short in the first, ground out to third to end the second. Hutchins at the top of the order, in the batting order, and in this inning in the 5th. And oftentimes that you'll see the leadoff batter lead off more than once, certainly, in a softball game, as Hutchins 42 out of 117 coming into today. 359 her average and a 387 on base percentage. As the hitters count now, left fielder Hutchins stands in. As she grounds one right at Wheeler at second base, as she tosses over to first base, and that is in time, 1 down. That's a good start for Boswell, as Boswell and West have gone the distance for Wallace, Hanceville, and Snead State, respectively, in the circle. Neither team has had more than a 2-run lead today, as Brittany Slater 2 for 2 with a triple and a single. Also has scored a couple of runs, and all of those runs have scored on a Lydia West extra base hit. So you have 2 Parsons players that are halfway to the cycle so far. Slater has the hardest part, a triple, and the easiest part, a single so far. Changeup right at the knees, a strike call. And then Lydia West, a double as well as a 2-run homer. So they have 4 of the 6 Snead State hits today. Low, 2-1. Both teams undefeated so far here at Veterans Park. One of these teams will at least enjoy a winner's bracket portion as far as the bracket of the championship. Hit into left center field. That drops down. Could be extra bases, as going into second base will be Slater. So she has a triple, a single, and a double. Maybe a possibility for the cycle looming for her if she can come up to bat one more time in this ball game. So we'll have time called, and I think we may have a substitution set to check in, as we may have a new pitcher in this ball game. And I think we indeed do. We'll step aside for this timeout, and we'll tell you who the substitution is after this. Looks as if a new pitcher set to check in for Wallace Hanceville, as our first relief appearance for either team so far today. A good ball game in the winner's bracket portion of the semifinal round. So new pitcher for the Lions is Emily Simon, as she'll check in and inherit a runner in scoring position, is now the tying run at the plate in Riley Sharp. We'll first take a look at Riley Sharp's numbers on the year. So Sharp, 64 out of 155, 413 on the year. Pitch on the way. That's high. Throw down to third, and they got her, as Hall able to target the throw to Rouse. as Slater easily gunned down at third. So 2-5 on the caught stealing. Now, it's not making the first or the third out at third, but next game, a coach will be my first and probably last, but I have to doubt that call there. So now 2 down with nobody aboard as the foul ball comes back, and that'll be 2 strikes now on Riley Sharp. Sharp, a pop-up to third and a foul out to first. That could be a big play in this ball game if this remains tight going into the 7th. Pitch is downstairs. You don't mind aggressive coaching, aggressive softball. It certainly helps teams build traditions and build consistent winners, but you also have to be smart at some point about when you use your aggressiveness, at least try and use it to your advantage, as there's a foul ball and the count even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. There's one thing that caught stealing does. It takes away the momentum from the Parsons dugout and gives it right to the Lions. And you have Lydia West on deck that's had 3 RBIs so far today. 2-2. That's a tapper foul, and what it also allows for Wallace Hanceville, 1 pitch to get out of the inning with no damage done. It's a tough break for Snead State that time, as they're going to have to overcome that caught stealing to clear the bases. And now Riley Sharp's going to have to get on base here to keep this inning alive. 2-2. That's a bouncer and just foul. And then those type of, at least, calls get magnified even more when you have a 2-run separation between the 1 and the 3 seed in a postseason game. And also you're in the back half of a ball game. Two balls, 2 strikes. Popped up behind home plate, and a nice over-the-shoulder grab that time by Hall to retire the side. As it turns out, nothing doing for Snead State. As the caught stealing erases a base runner, no runs, 1 hit, no errors, and nobody left on base. Bottom of the 5th we go. Wallace Hanceville 5 and Snead State 3 on JockJive.com. Bottom of the 5th inning here at field number 1. Winners bracket semifinal and the final game of the day for Wallace Hanceville and Snead State Community College. As the 2 teams have been very competitive so far today. No more than a 2-run advantage for either of these teams today. Snead State scored the first run in the first inning, and then Wallace Hanceville answered with 2 in the bottom of the first. The Lions extended their lead to 3-1 after 2, but a 2-run homer by Lydia West tied it up at 3. And in the 4th inning, solo homers by Tessa Word as well as Jaden Foster were able to put the Lions back up by 2 runs as we're now in the bottom of the 5th inning. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around that Lee's decision to try and steal third with less than 2 outs. And you had your hottest hitter in the lineup and with a possible opportunity maybe to tie up the ball game. And Wallace Hanceville able to easily throw out Brittany Slater. That's one of those plays that can really come back to haunt Snead State if they're not able to recover and keep Wallace Hanceville where they're at. But still, at least plenty of softball still to go as we're in the bottom of the 5th inning. Still at least right now the equivalent of 2 full innings to go. As the pitch low or called a strike, just nipped the outside corner. Holly Hand with a go-ahead RBI triple in the 1st inning. And then also a fly out to center in the 3rd. Right at the first baseman that time on a 2-hopper to Lax, as that's an easy play, 1 down. Kind of unfortunate for Snead State as far as that caught stealing, because they've played, other than a couple of errors that haven't hurt them really, they've played a really good ball game against the top seed so far. And just right now, Wallace Hanceville has made a couple more plays, really 3 more plays as far as the 2 home runs and also the caught stealing that have made the difference up to this point. A quality ACCC postseason softball game so far as Taylor takes ball 1. Lines that foul about 3 feet past our first base umpire, or third base umpire, I beg your pardon. Jessie Taylor, a fly out to right end first, and then a comebacker to the circle her last time up. Wallace Hanceville 5 runs on 8 hits, as a nice drop ball that time swung on and missed. Check that, 5 runs on 7 hits. No errors for the Lions as they've left 5 on base. And a swing and a miss that time for the strikeout. So still out in the circle is Lydia West, as she's able to get the strikeout, and that is, as far as her strikeout total so far today, that is, I have as her first, check that, I beg your pardon, her second strikeout so far. First pitch, tapper foul by Phillips. Single and a run scored to begin the 2nd, and then flied out to center to end the 3rd. So we look ahead to the 6th inning, and you have Lydia West that's set to lead off as she comes home, and that drops low. So Lydia West, almost 5 full innings so far. She's helped pitching and her bat keep Snead State in contention. Pitch downstairs. And now that 2022 team that made a deep run in the national tournament for then head coach A.J. Doherty, kind of one of those gold standard type teams that the Lions had a couple years ago that can be very hard as far as to match up against. But Wallace Hanceville still a solid team and a solid effort for them so far today. Couple of pitching mistakes, but otherwise they have not really made the egregious mistake as far as to get themselves behind. 3-1, lined right on the line that time, as Sharp able to grab it out of the air to retire the side. 3 up and 3 down as we go to the 6th inning through 5. Wallace Hanceville 5, Snead State 3 here on JockJive.com. Through 5 innings of play, a solid ball game so far between Wallace Hanceville and Snead State Community College. As the two North Alabama products, so far a 5-3 advantage for Wallace Hanceville. There's been 2 ties and 2 lead changes coming in to this inning. However, Wallace Hanceville has led since their 2 solo homers in the 4th inning, as Lydia West along with Ella Grace Hood and Campbell Adams due up here in the 6th inning. First full inning for Emily Simon as she took over in the 5th inning for Lily Boswell, as that's a first pitch strike. So Emily Simon almost a save opportunity for her. Is that 0-1 high. Lydia West, great offensive day so far. 3 RBIs, a double, and a 2-run homer. Simon comes set and misses outside, maybe a touch high as well. Final as Southern Union takes care of Shelton State 7-3 in our final ACCC Division I elimination game. So Shelton State complete as far as their journey here in Alabaster. A weak grounder should be an easy play for Wheeler, and it is 1 down. So West, the first time she's been retired today. As there's 1 down for Ella Grace Hood. Single in the 1st and a line out to 2nd, her last time up. That came in the 3rd. So Wallace Hanceville pitching since the 3rd has only allowed 1 hit as Simon comes home. Upstairs, rise ball. Looks as if a appeal and no swing over at first base. Take a look at Emily Simon's numbers this year. And she's looking to get the Lions to the finish line. 5 outs away from the championship round as that pitch is inside. Emily Simon, one of 2 Simon sophomores. And Simon says for Emily so far in the circle this year, 8-4 with a save in 17 appearances and a couple of starts. There's a strike, 2 balls and 1 strike. .75 hits, 49 runs, and 31 of those earned with 38 walks and 66 strikeouts, a 2.95 ERA. 2-1, strike at the lower portion of the strike zone. 2-2. Campbell Adams on deck. Loser takes on Southern Union tomorrow. And the winner awaits in the championship round. 2-2. That's upstairs. So Southern Union will have an elimination game tomorrow at 11 a.m. as part of Championship Saturday here in Alabaster. Outfield playing deep, especially for Phillips in center. Payoff is high for ball 4. So a walk with 1 down brings up the possible tying run in this ball game, and Campbell Adams. So Hood aboard for the 2nd time today. Adams a pop up to 2nd to end the 1st, and then a fly out to right to end the 3rd. It appears we're going to have a substitution. And a pinch runner checks in over at first base. As soon as we can get that number at first base, we'll relay it down the line to you. I think I got the number now. It's number 42, Lexi Brewer, the flex player, so she comes on as the pinch runner. Always have to make totally sure, however, as Lexi Brewer on for Ella Grace Hood. So Campbell Adams at the plate as she takes the screwball for a strike. So we'll see Lexi back in the field as far as her second base position in the next half inning. Adams the catcher. And she takes to even the count. Snead State with a single run in the first, 2 in the third. They have not scored other than those 2 innings. And Wallace Hanceville has been held off the board in a couple of their 5 at-bats. Swing and miss at the rise ball. And so Adams behind in the count 1-2. Boswell gave way to Simon in the last inning as the pitch on the way is low on the outside corner, but around the ankles that time. Snead State trying to fight their way back in. Trying to put together a late game rally here as Simon gets a tapper in front of home plate as good play that time by Hall. Thought it might have been a bit closer that time, but no worries. Hall on the 1-3 putout, like a sacrifice as Brewer into scoring position. Caden Ratcliffe, an RBI opportunity for her 2 outs as she has struggled today offensively. Fouled out to third to begin the second and then grounded out to third to begin the fourth. Her second inning at bat was on the very first pitch she saw. And she swings and misses. Both teams have been swinging early, which I don't mind as far as just taking an aggressive approach when you get up to the plate and not waiting for the pitch count to develop. Jada Lax on deck. A hit likely would get Snead State closer in this game as the pitch low. Ella Grace Hood walked with 1 out as Lexi Brewer, the pinch runner at second base. 2 solo homers in the fourth for Wallace Hanceville, the deciding factors so far. Also a questionable base running decision in the 5th inning as there's a foul ball right off the front foot that time of Ratcliffe. Brittany Slater was at second with less than 2 outs when she tried to steal third and was gunned down very easily over at third. So the count now with 1 ball and 2 strikes. Let's not forget that extra out on the board for you there back at home. Certainly appreciate you for joining us. It's going to be a very pleasant drive back home for yours truly as far as from this week of softball action. 1-2. That's a tapper foul back to Talladega County after this one for yours truly, as looks as if all the other games have come to a conclusion. So this is the last game of the day here at Veterans Park. A much better afternoon than at least we had yesterday. We've been getting ready for more than a gully washer, and then also some humid conditions at this time of the evening yesterday. 1-2, tapped foul. May get around at least probably in the rural parts of central Alabama, somewhere in the low 50s, maybe around certainly the 50 to 55 degree mark when you wake up tomorrow morning. So enjoy it because it's probably the last time we're going to have that type of weather condition until October. As it's going to turn up the temperature for the rest of late spring and the summer. 1-2. Bouncer fair as the third baseman Rouse over to first base in time to retire the side. 5-3 on the putout, so Ratcliffe 0 for 3. No runs, no hits, no errors, and a runner left in scoring position. We go to the bottom of the sixth inning. Wallace Hanceville 5 and Snead State 3 on JockJive.com. What could be the final at-bat of the day for Wallace Hanceville, as they're minimum 3 outs away from getting to the finish line successfully today in the winner's bracket semifinals and would earn a spot in tomorrow's championship round. And right now, Snead State, if they cannot come back and close a 2-run deficit, would face Southern Union tomorrow as far as an elimination semifinal. James Hardy with you. Entertaining ball game between these two teams today. As we'll look ahead as far as tomorrow's schedule. As first off, we flip over the scorecard. Bottom 2 and then the top of the order is Tessa Word, a huge go-ahead homer on a 1-2 pitch going the opposite way her last time up. That we have to put a couple stars on the board because that has been the biggest hit so far today as she falls behind, no balls and 2 strikes. Right now, your pitchers of record, Lily Boswell, and also on the flip side, Lydia West, that's still competing out there in the circle. Tomorrow's schedule, 11 o'clock semifinal round game on field number 5. And that's Southern Union against the loser of this one, as that's off of the glove of the first baseman, Lax, as that goes into right field. I think we're going to call that a base hit. That was sharply hit right at a hot corner. Generally more of a hot corner's third base, but this time going the opposite way. We've seen that the last 2 at-bats now for Tessa Word. That's the first hit of the inning. 8 hits today for Wallace Hanceville, as we're going to have a pinch runner check in over at first base. Certainly makes it easy for the scorekeeper and the play-by-play announcer to see some oversized numbers on the uniforms for Wallace Hanceville, as Amelia Sherrill checks in as the pinch runner. You can have the poorest eyesight and still see the numbers on the back of the uniforms for Wallace Hanceville. As I mentioned, certainly a big help when you're pretty far away here as far as our press box location. So a runner at first base as we go to the bottom of the order in Emily Hall. Reached on an E5 in the second, flied out to center in the fourth. Shows bunt and gets it down. Throw to second base, well done that time, as West tosses to Brewer, or check that to Radcliffe, for the first out of the inning. So that's a fielder's choice on the bunt. 1-6 on the putout. Hall at first. And Sherrill retired on the base paths. 1 down. As that gets us to the top of the order for Caroline Cartron. 0 for 3 with an RBI. Slaps that one into left, and that's caught on a basket catch that time by the left fielder Hutchins. 2 down. Oh, man, that's a tough break that time for Cartron. She hit that hard, but give credit for Hutchins. Good first step, able to slide in on that catch. Actually, more like diving in, kind of belly first that time. A great defensive play as Wallace Hanceville 2 down with a runner at first base and a swing and a miss at the drop ball for Jaden Foster. She had a first pitch homer in the 4th inning, otherwise a line out to short, robbed of a single in the 1st by Radcliffe, and then 5-4 on the fielder's choice in the 2nd. Breaking ball strike. They got the runner caught between 1st and 2nd. Nice play by the catcher Adams as they'll get the runner back to 1st, and the tag, no, not in time, as Snead State did everything right but finished that play on the rundown. Adams made a very heady play as far as keeping the softball going at the runner, but the mistake, Radcliffe just was not able as far as to make that late throw, as a bit shaken up that time over at first base is Emily Hall. So she slid head first back into first base as it looks as if she's grabbing at the top of her head, as we'll have at least time called. And we'll have a little TLC visit, we'll call it, for Lauren Stewart, the head coach. Emily Hall still seems a bit woozy out there, and this is a smart play, a coaching decision as far as to give Hall some rest, and also a pinch to go ahead and get a pinch runner out there on the base pass as Peyton Bailey checks in as the pinch runner. Smart move that time. And then if Hall can kind of just clear the stars, we'll say, then we could and hopefully will see her in the 7th inning. Wallace Hanceville has led since the 4th inning when they broke open a 3-3 tie with a couple of solo homers. Tessa Word and Jayden Foster with the big blows. Wallace Hanceville also a pair of triples today. So they've had 4 extra base hits in total. Snead State has hung around, however, as the count now at 1 ball and 2 strikes. As that gets to the backstop. West uncorks a wild pitch that time. And so Peyton Bailey now into scoring position. So 2 strikes now. Foster trying to increase the lead, as that's off the end of the bat. Should end the inning as Radcliffe puts it away. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and a runner left on base for Wallace Hanceville, as Snead State needs 2 to tie and 3 to retake the lead as we're through 6. Wallace Hanceville 5, Snead State 3, as you're watching JockJive.com. Final at bat for Snead State in regulation, as they're still in contention, but they're down to their final 3 outs, as neither team has lost so far in this ACCC NJCAA Division I tournament here in Alabaster, Alabama. As 8-9-1 for the Parsons, Lax, Walker, and Hutchins try and keep Snead State alive as far as coming from behind and possibly punching their ticket into the championship game tomorrow. Loser takes on Southern Union at 11 o'clock tomorrow on field number 5, as we're set to get underway here for the top of the 7th inning. Lax 1 for 2. As Emily Simon trying to get the Lions to the finish line. Screwball inside. So Lax 1 for 2, 0 for 2 is Addie Walker, and then Jakia Hutchins 0 for 3. So odds look slim right now as far as those totals, as there's a swing and a miss. It's the fastball right by Lax. So for Snead State today, so coming into the inning, 3 runs on 7 hits, a couple of errors, and 4 left on base. 1-1 is tapped. Slow bouncer as Simon tosses over in time. Able to compose herself and not rush the throw that time over to first base, as there's now 1 down, as Wallace Hanceville 1 out closer toward a championship ticket. Obviously would have to win the championship game, 1 of a possible 2 over the weekend. Addie Walker 0 for 2. Fly out to center and a fly out to left. And takes the screwball, almost gets hit that time. Snead State scored the first run of the ball game on a Lydia West RBI triple with 2 outs. And then an RBI triple by Rouse and Hollyhand got Wallace Hanceville their first lead after 1. Caroline Cartron added to the lead on a bases-loaded fielder's choice ground out in the second. And then Lydia West, a 2-run homer with 1 out in the third, tied it up at 3. And then a pair of solo homers for Wallace Hanceville in the fourth by Tessa Ward, a leadoff opposite field homer. And then Jayden Foster to straightaway center field has given Wallace Hanceville their present 2-run advantage. 2 balls, 1 strike. Addie Walker attempting to get on. And it takes 1, a strike call. Got to be ready to swing now if you're Walker. Yes, the count at 2-2. Snead State has had just a couple of base runners get on since the 3rd inning. 1 out double in the 5th, and then a 1 out walk in the 6th. Bouncer foul past the first base coach's box. Brittany Slater thrown out at 3rd, though, to wipe away her double. As Snead State has left just 2 base runners on since the 1st inning. A runner left on at 1st in the 2nd, and then a runner left in scoring position in the 6th. Another 2-2 coming up for Emily Simon. Swing and a miss, a big strikeout. As now the Lions 1 out away from going into the championship round. That is Emily Simon that has 1 more out to go, trying to get another 1-2-3 inning. As we go to the top of the order for the Parsons, as Jakia Hutchins 0 for 3. A pop-up to short, a ground out to 3rd, and a ground out to 2nd. Snead State down to their final out as Simon looking to close the door on this semifinal round game. As that pitch, screwball inside. One ball, no strikes. So Hutchins has to get aboard to provide the tying run to get to the plate as the screwball almost comes in to hit Hutchins. Competitive ball game between these 2 North Alabama rivals. Snead State the 3 seed despite being just 3 games above 500 overall. 2-0. Right down the middle of strike call on the fastball. On deck is Brittany Slater. Slater, if she can come to the plate, has an opportunity for the cycle. If she can do that, would tie up this ball game. Emily Simon does not want to get to that point, though, as she finds the strike zone, and now Snead State down to their final strike. Huge pitch coming up for Wallace Hanceville, as they want to get a 1-2-3 inning and want to end this ball game. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss for the strikeout. For Snead State, In the seventh inning, no runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left on base as Emily Simon strikes out the final two batters of the inning. As your final score, Wallace Hanceville 5 and Snead State 3. 3 runs on 7 hits with 2 errors and 4 left on base for Snead State. 5 runs on 8 hits, no errors, and 6 left on base for Wallace Hanceville. So Wallace Hanceville advances to the championship round tomorrow, where they will await the winner of the 11 a.m. game tomorrow on field number 5 between Southern Union and also Snead State Community College. So the championship for Wallace Hanceville will get underway sometime around 4 o'clock also on field number 5. Big thanks for all of you for watching. Big thanks for Robert Williamson and our JockJive crew with their help today. James Hardy wishing you a happy Friday evening from Alabaster, Alabama, where one more time your final score in the Division I ACCC NJCAA District Semifinals. Wallace Hanceville 5 and Snead State 3.